What's going on, people? Welcome back to Live Palace News. We're going to be discussing, there's not enough news today, basically nothing today, but there's a talking point going around. Why are we struggling to score goals? We've only scored 9 goals from open play so far this season, and I've got my reasons. I'm pretty sure, T, we haven't had the discussion. I'm pretty sure you've got your reasons as well. But let us know in the comment section, in the live comment section, what you guys think as well. And if you're watching a replay, make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to not miss out on future Palace videos. T, how you doing, bro? You're mute. You're good. Yeah, see, you laugh at me every time. And now it's you, bro. Now you know how it feels. Now you know how it feels to go on mute.
Is mine's not showing it being mute? Weird.
Good,
man.
I don't know. Yeah, man. I think your connection's a bit jumpy. But yeah, it pretty much sums up Palace's attacking problem. But look, send in your thoughts as well. It's not going to be like an in-depth tactical analysis. And we're not going to exactly solve it. It's not like one answer. But look, I'll start off. And then you can let me know what you guys think as well in the live section, and you can let me know as well. One of the problems that I think that we have is we didn't replace the scorers that we had last season. We can start there. We didn't replace Conor Gallagher. We didn't replace even Benteke. People are forgetting that Benteke did score goals for us. Both them plays in itself. How many goals? Do you know how many goals they scored for us last season?
Those two, combined. I think. Well, Gallagher has 6 by himself. I think Benteke maybe had like 3 or 4, so close to 10 probably.
12. We took out 12 goals from the team last season combined, both of them. Funny enough, Benteke did score goals, and I thought he had a good start to the season last season anyways, and then he kind of fell off there. But if you take away 12 goals from a team and you don't replace it, there's always going to be problems. So I think that is one thing. That's one of the reasons why I think we're struggling. There's other reasons as well. For me, I think when you look at our striker situation, I think JP this season hasn't been good enough. And we're talking about get rid of strikers. And, you know, the other option was Edouard. And Edouard has been solid for us before the World Cup break and before his injury anyways. But now Vieira's got trust issues. He's got trust issues all of a sudden. He doesn't trust him in front of goal. And that doesn't help one bit as well. And when I mentioned the goals being taken away, my third point is in midfield. Yes, we lost Benteke, but we also lost Conor Gallagher. I think people are forgetting that with Gallagher, yes, he delivered goals, but he got assists as well. He was that creative force in midfield. This season, for the majority of the season, we played with one midfielder. You can make the argument, one midfielder that's solid on the ball. And that was Decore. Up until Lokonga came in. Most recently, I started the last 3 games. So we've missed that quality in midfield as well as the goals that Gallagher had. We didn't replace him. We didn't replace the striker situation. And it's way easier to defend when you don't have that midfielder running in. I think Gallagher last year caused defenders problems because we had the wide players, we had the strikers, and we had the midfielders. But now it's easy. You know Palace can't do it in midfield. Force them out wide and stop them. Now you might be saying, oh, it's only 1 or 2 players. But then 1 or 2 players in key areas of the pitch makes such a massive difference. But look, that's my 3 points. We didn't replace the goal scorers in Gallagher and Benteke. We didn't replace the creativity in terms of Gallagher. And also, Vieira's problem with Edouard doesn't help one bit as well because I think, in my opinion, he's the most capable striker that we have out of him and Mateta, and he hasn't been starting recently. But for you, T, what do you think?
I think I definitely agree with your first point. I think that one stands out pretty heavily. I mean, when you're not replacing goal scoring production in a team, it's always going to be a bigger difference. I mean, you're talking about 12 combined goals between 2 players. That's a significant lift to where we could be right now with that contribution. I think the other big thing for me, another one of the big things for me that stands out is not playing players in their natural positions. I really feel like that is taking a heavy toll on us, whether it be with the consistency of how often the players are actually playing and in the squad, to when they're in the squad actually being in a position that is natural to them, that they're, inherently comfortable playing. I think those things tend to really factor into how many goals we've scored. And then, quality of play up top. I thought that we saw a pretty decent run of play from Edward prior to his injury, which was a large setback for us. And now to what we see is almost being a lack of trust, or almost a grudge between our manager and what could be our best striking option right now. So I think, those things, the confidence of some of your better goal scorers playing out of position, and then, like you said, the not replacing of goals have factored into some of the issues that we've seen.
Yeah. Look, we're only looking at the goals last season compared to this season, so we can look at that. I mean, last season we scored 50 goals. Of course, this season ain't complete yet, so we don't know where we're going to get to. But in terms of per game, last season we had on average 1.32 goals per game compared to this season 0.84. So there is a problem. Like, there is a problem. The stats prove it. The eye test prove it. We saw it even against Aston Villa in terms of even the creativity. And in our last 10 games, we've of course missed Wilf. I think that doesn't help, but we've only scored 6 goals against tough opposition. Do you think it's a case of it's a simple solution of if Edward starts, we start scoring goals? Is it a case of that? Because I think the main reason why Edward and players are playing our position is because if it ain't JP, which it shouldn't be JP because he hasn't warranted his place in the starting 11, then who is it going to be starting up front if it ain't JP and if it ain't Edward?
I mean, I think it could be simple, but I think it's not just one simple step. I think deciding to really give Edward a run of games is one step. I think playing players in their natural position is another step. That means playing Elise out wide, playing Eze in the middle. I prefer Zaha to be on the wing. I think those things will help in seeing that type of turnover that we're looking for when it comes to seeing more goals, and just committing to it and giving it a run of a substantial run of games. I think those are some of the things that we can really do to see that change in the goal scoring.
Yeah, look, I'm going to bring up a interesting stat that looks at our XG. I'm going to bring that up in just a second. But T, can you go through the comments whilst I do that? If you can see the comments.
Absolutely. Let's see.
Yeah, there's a comment there from Luki as well that you can start with.
Yeah, so he says Zaha's a difference to our team. Even Bournemouth can score 2 goals against Arsenal, and Bournemouth look like they're going down. Yeah, I mean, he is a huge actual part for us, Luki. I mean, I can't deny that. Whether it's like Patrick made a comment of yesterday, he's our best finisher right now. He is, point blank. So not having him in there is a big loss when it comes to our ability to put the ball in the net. So, and then he's at this point, we may not even get Europa League, probably Europa Conference League. Here's my thing, bro. Let's just be quite honest. Our fan base would be ecstatic to get Europa Conference League. Like, let's be real. An opportunity to play.
I just see the comment now.
An opportunity to play in a European competition. That's like all our fan base is wanting. You know what I mean?
Forget about Europe. We're talking about staying in the Premier League right now. Forget about Europe. We scored like 12 goals from open play. I mean, the Europa League, Europa Conference League. Forget about that right now, anyways.
Mm-hmm. It's incompetence above all, but it sometimes comes down to team selection, setups, and a lack of investment in better players going forward. Yeah, I mean, I think it can be a combination of all those things. I mean, sometimes I wonder, and I feel like, especially when we actually have the ball and we're in possession, there are times when we seem stagnant, when we don't seem like we have practiced offensive passages of play. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems dry and stale sometimes.
Yeah.
And at times, I don't know if, like I said, sometimes it's down to where you got guys on the pitch and who you got on the pitch. You know what I mean? Like you said, a front three of Mateta, Schlupp, and Ayew in possession is not going to yield us very much when it comes to possession-based football.
I think what also doesn't help is we talk about not replacing Conor Gallagher, but Gallagher helped us in a way over his goals and assists. I understand that, but now that we lost him, I don't think people are talking about this as much. Apart from Eze, we don't have another number 10 that is a creative player.
And we don't have Eze playing in the 10 a lot of times. Like,
exactly. That's the
problem. How many
Eze,
matches has he honestly played in that position?
So if you're talking about lack of goals, let's start with the creativity aspect. Like, let's start with how many opportunities we're creating. When looking at opportunities, Eze should be a capable number 10, but one, he ain't playing number 10. That goes down to the manager for not playing him there. But also, two, Eze hasn't had a great season. I mean, recently he's not been at his best. Now, when Eze is not at his best, we put Elise as a number 10. Elise ain't a number 10. So if we're talking about creative players, yes, we have some very good players and they'll probably be even better if they're playing the right position. Let's just start there. But the alternative that we have, the depth that we have, it's not good enough. Like it isn't. I guess if we had another player that was another creative player apart from the likes of Eze that could play through the middle, that might take a burden bit off the Conor Gallagher, losing Gallagher situation. But because we don't even have that, it's a case of, oh, Eze, are you going to create through the middle? If you're not, then who is going to create through the middle? Decore ain't that guy. Decore is very good on the ball, but he's not a creative player going forward. And then we started Schlupp for the majority of the time. And then if he ain't Schlupp, it's Will Hughes. It's Will Hughes. We just don't have the answer. And when Eze ain't playing well, we haven't got alternatives. So it's like hitting. We lost two birds with one stone. We lost Conor Gallagher, and then we exploited our weaknesses by Eze not performing as good. And now we don't have another number 10. But look, let me bring this up. So this is a website called Understat, and I'm going to share it on the screen where you guys can see it as well. It's interesting because we haven't had much time to plan the show in enough depth, but we thought we might as well jump on for a bit and talk about it and read some of your comments. And it looks at the XG. So can you guys see on screen now?
I'm not
you
seeing
can see
it right now. Okay, it's coming up. It's coming up. Yep.
Okay, can you see this? Yep.
Yep.
All right, cool. So this is on the website called Understat. So as you can see, it looks at open plays from corners, from set pieces, from direct free kicks, from penalties. So when you're looking at open play, we've only scored 12 goals from open play this season. Goals against, that's 27. So in terms of XG from open play, now I need to bring it up, and I think it's one of the most important things I have to do, to be fair. So I need to bring it up ASAP. But it says the XG, it says 15.44. And we've only scored 12 goals. So when you're looking at this, I mean, isn't that a barrier, or isn't that an indicator to show that with the goal situation, especially from open play, that maybe it is down to the quality as well? Because IXG should be higher. IXG from open play is higher than the amounts we scored. So I guess that's a positive indicator. From corners, nothing really there. Set pieces 4, nothing really there in terms of differences, 4.38. Direct free kick, nothing really there. And penalties, yeah, I mean, we should have probably scored a bit better in terms of penalties as well, which Wilf, of course, missed them. But for you two, when you're looking at the XG 15, not great, only 3 more goals. But why is it that we're not scoring these expected goals and matching up to expectations? Is that down to quality then?
Some of it could just be finishing. I mean, you think about some of the goals that we have come close to scoring, like shots off the post, clear, pleasant chances that just simply weren't taken. You know what I'm saying? You take those into account, and it starts to, understand why, hey, that number is higher than what we've actually done, because there are some times where we just didn't finish shots that we should have, that should have ended up in goals.
Yeah. And I think we've become predictable. Even that XG, I mean, that is still so poor. That 15. All right, cool. We should have maybe scored a bit more goals with the opportunities that we created. Mm-hmm. But it's very, like, 15 from open play. That's still not good enough. You get it? It's not like, oh, we're creating tons of opportunities. We're still not creating opportunities. And I think it starts from there. I think the majority of our problem is that we've lost a bit of creativity, especially from midfield. We've lacked that number 8. I think Lokonga is a good signing to in the short term to replace them problems, but I don't think Lokonga is going to get assists and goals in a way that Gallagher did, because they're 2 different type of players. Gallagher is more of an energy player, whereas I see Lokonga is more of a player that can control the play, which is quite interesting. And then you can look at, for example, the positions as well. Let's look at these positions in terms of the players that are out there scoring goals. So in terms of XG, the highest player that we have out there in terms of XG is, I believe, Zaha. So his XG is 5.87.
He's actually outperforming his XG.
Yeah, he's outperforming that. Yeah, he's outperforming his XG. Odson Edward, a bit lower in terms of 3.70 for his XG, and he's only scored 3 goals this season, which is interesting. But Zaha also for the expected assists, pretty much similar, 2.43. Edouard is outperforming his expected assists. So instead of 0.97, he's got 2 assists.
And looking at Eze's outperforming in goals.
Eze's outperforming
and
the
he's right
numbers
on
as
point
well.
in his assists.
Yeah, Mateta. It's not like he's missing crazy amount of, but you can see there. I think he must be the one that's the least underperforming. When you look at the numbers, 1.50.
But then look at his
there
shots per
isn't
90.
any other player.
Look at his shots. He's
per
got the
90.
highest shots per 90 on the team now.
Where's that? Oh yeah, he has. And his XG is 2.5, and he's only got literally only 1 goal, which is quite interesting. And expected assists, he's got no assists, so he's underperforming that barrier as well. Look, I think with Mateta, I've said it many times, I don't think he's good enough for this level. Like, simple as. It's nothing to do with form. He had a good run of form, but he's just not good enough for this level. But when you look at these players, there's not many that are actually underperforming in terms of individual basis. It's the biggest one is Mateta. But other than that, you have players overperforming. I mean, Elise is overperforming with his goals and his assists. You can see it there. And then I'm not going to go into literally Chris Richards and stuff. But in terms of attackers, I use a decent one. Only 1.34, so it's not as bad as people expecting. He's got 1 goal, 1 assist, but these numbers are worrying. I mean, you're looking at some of these players, apart from Wilf and Edouard and even Eze, the drop-off in quality, it's not good enough. I mean, Elisa brings up with assists, but that's what I'm talking about. I mean, Mateta, Schlupp, Ayew, these players haven't performed in a long time.
Some of it is like what they're saying, what Isaac's saying here. Our attack is too defensively minded. We need to transition from defense to attack faster and take more chances. I think, like, you think about, like, the way we set up a lot of times, we're setting up with guys and picking guys because of their work rate, defensive contribution, and their attackers. It's like, yo, man, we should be setting up for our attackers to be attackers, like, not how good of defenders they are. You know what I mean? I think that's something I think you're never going to have great goal contribution if the guys that you're in your attack that are being selected based on their defensive work rate and not what they're doing as far as helping us put the ball in the goal.
Yeah, and look, I'll say this as well. Someone made a comment there. I think it was from Isaac. He said, "Look at the top 3 expected goal players. They're not being played enough." And when you look at them, so the top 3 expected goal players: Eze, Edouard, and Zaha. And we have to, let's not forget, in our last 10 games, we've missed Zaha for a bit. I mean, was it like 4 games or so? Maybe a bit more than that. I'm not too sure.
4.
Edouard hasn't been starting. Eze's been out form and he got dropped. And it's the first time that all 3 of those actually played against Aston Villa. So what I'm trying to get at is
and Edouard hardly played. Did Edouard play?
Edouard, he's barely played, really, literally.
Yeah, I mean, did he even get in? Did he? I didn't see the end of the match. Did he get in against Villa? I know they brought Mateta on.
He didn't. Mateta came on.
So he didn't even get it. Once again, he didn't even get a chance.
He needs to solve it. I think majority of our problems, it goes back to Edouard. I'm not saying Edouard is like Mbappe or Haaland. Like, if you start at Edouard, everything's gonna be perfect. But you start Edouard, you have players in the right positions. You start Edouard, you got a player there that is actually. So when you look at the stats, you got a player there that's actually, a bit underperforming in terms of his XG, but it's not as bad as our other alternative striker that Vieira keeps playing. I think he needs a bit of confidence, and I think he needs to be starting more often than not. And that, I think it'll help him. But look, I'm just saying, in our last 10 games, how many times has Zaha, Edouard, and Eze played together?
Very
there is
few.
that.
I would love to go back and look that up, to be honest.
So what I'm hoping is going forward, the next 3 games is going to be difficult anyways. I don't think we have many expectations against Man City. You got Brighton and you got Arsenal. Hopefully against Brighton, we might be able to perform. We always somehow get results against them. I don't know how, because they actually destroy us on the pitch, but we always get away with results. But I think going forward in the short term, we need to start the players in the right positions, and we need to start some of these players, and that starts with Edouard. I don't want to keep coming on here and talking about Edouard, but he needs to start, because if he starts, the Zaha is not playing up front; he's playing out wide. If he starts, Eze can't play out wide because Zaha's playing there, so he's playing as a number 10. Elise is staying down the right hand side.
It's a
First and
domino
foremost,
effect.
it's a domino effect. You get the players in the right position. Second of all, when you're looking at this, I mean, Edward scored 3 goals this season, and his XG, I get it, is a bit underperforming. His XG is 3.7, but it's pretty much same wavelength. He scored 3 goals. Maybe he could have potentially about 4 goals.
He's very close to where he should be.
He's very close to exactly. And if you put the players in the right positions, and if they're creating chances, and that XG goes up, and based on this, he's pretty much similar on level to the actual chances that he's been given. If you start creating more chances, then I expect him to score more goals, because based on this, he's pretty much delivered. He's delivered when he's been needed. So we need to, I think we need to start him. But look, we're going to wrap it up anyways. I just thought we'll go through some of the stats. In terms of formations, we've only scored 6 goals. The XG for that has been 9 for the 4-2-3-1 that we've been playing recently. Funny enough, we've conceded only 14 goals, but we've been getting lucky. I think the defensive numbers are a bit concerning there, because we should concede about 5 more, or on basically 6 more goals with the formation. 4-3-3, we've
10 goals from the 4-3-3.
Yeah, 10 goals, exactly. Funny enough, we've had more goals this season from the 4-3-3, and we played about 300 less minutes than the 4-2-3-1. And now there's no excuse to not go to the 4-3-3, because we've got Lukonga there that can play as a number 8. We've got Decore, and we've got Eze. Everyone's fit. I think we've got a genuine midfielders.
He hasn't tried that yet either. That's another thing. He hasn't tried that yet.
Yeah, not with Lukonga anyways, but that's the thing. I mean, before he changed it up. Well, most recently he changed it up about a month or so ago, because we was conceding goals, weren't scoring any goals, and he had to go a bit more defensive. That's why he went with the double pivot, 4-2-3-1. But now that we've got an actual midfielder that can actually slot in, I think we need to go back to 4-3-3. Go back to 4-3-3. The high pressing, the high intensity, win the balls up, win the balls at a higher end of the pitch, and try to build like that. Because last season, that's what we were doing. Score them goals.
Absolutely.
That's what we was doing. So we need to change the formation, ideally as well. For me, anyways, I want to go back to our original roots. I want to see Lukonga start as more of a number 8 than a holding midfielder next to Decore, a bit more advanced role. Put Wilf out wide. Start Edward. Play the players in the right position. Because some of these players are performing based on the chances that they've been creating. But the problem is, we ain't creating that many chances because they're being playing out of position. And that's the most frustrating thing. But look, if you guys have enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe before we jump on here. Even though there's not much to talk about in terms of Palace news, before we jump on here, talk about our goals. And make sure to check out the preview that's going to be released tomorrow. And there's going to be opposition preview coming out, much more. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. That's it from me and T. And until next time, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.